Welcome to People and Profit, where we look at how business shapes our world. I'm Stephen Carroll. Coming up, the Brexit bounty. The head of France's financial lobby tells us he's expecting more firms to announce they're moving jobs to Paris in the coming weeks. Taking the axe to French tax, but will the government be able to balance the budget once it's lost 11 billion euros in revenue? And marketing with no filter, how small businesses are using social media to sell their goods around the world. First up, though, the battle is heating up to become the EU's new financial centre after Brexit. Paris has been lagging behind rival cities like Frankfurt in attracting jobs here after the UK leaves the European Union. To boost the efforts, the French Prime Minister announced changes to tax and labour laws aimed at tempting more businesses to move here. They include things like excluding bonuses from redundancy payments and extending a special tax regime to workers who are posted here. Paris Europlace is the organisation that promotes the French financial industry. I've been speaking to its chief, Gérard Mestrallet, at their annual gathering of international financiers. I asked him why more banks haven't announced they're moving jobs to Paris.
So far, there is very few real commitments. We have had in Paris HSBC for 1,000 people, plus 4 financial service companies representing 200. So we are at 1,200. The real commitments taken for Frankfurt today are around 750. So it's not the same level. But the decision will be taken during the coming 12 months and not immediately now. And
you're expecting more announcements to come?
Yes, absolutely, in the coming weeks and coming months. I'm sure that with the attractiveness of Paris, you know, we consider that in Europe today there are only 2 global cities, London and Paris. And Paris offers lots of attractiveness to international investors coming here, the standard of life, but also we have today in the new EU 27 post-Brexit, we have the largest financial center by all of means. Let's take the asset management, for example. 30% of the assets of the EU 27, 30% are managed in Paris, from Paris, when only 16% from Frankfurt. Frankfurt is a good place, but we consider that we have a number of key competitive advantages.
Would you care to put a figure on how many jobs could move to Paris after Brexit?
We hope that at the end, 10,000 jobs directly and 10,000 indirect jobs will be created in Paris directly in connection with the Brexit.
What are the big issues that banks are worried about moving to Paris? Is it the labour law?
Yes, the first one was the labour law because, you know, the financial services activity is a cyclical one. When the markets are bullish, they want to create jobs, and when the market are getting down, they want to be able to reduce their staff. And France was supposed to be, and was really rigid. And with the new law that has been already presented yesterday at the Parliament by the new government in order to take ordinances, lots of improvements will be taken. I will take simply one example. In the law, there will be a cap on the decision that the judge could take in case of a conflict on a dismissal, a cap. So far, today, there is no cap, so it is, in theory, an unlimited risk.
In your opening speech, you quoted an article saying that Macron's election was a game changer for the financial sector. Do you think that effect is going to last?
I'm sure. I'm sure. You know, when we met lots of bankers in London before the elections, lots of bankers thought that Marine Le Pen would be elected. And they said, in that case, we will not invest in France. And I said, well, wait for the elections. Don't take any decision prior to the French presidential election. You will see. And now Macron has been elected. That was for a lot of people outside France a surprise. So as I mentioned, he's very modern, he's young, he had been a banker for some time. He's very much pushing the startups, the digital economy, and the entrepreneurship, and he's pro-business. And he has announced during campaign all the measures he wanted to take. And now, less than 2 months after his own election, less than 1 month after the National Assembly election, he is applying the measures. And we will have the full landscape, improved landscape, in the coming weeks, with the decisions taken and voted by the Parliament. And so I'm sure that with the Macron effect, post-Brexit in the UK, post the climate Brexit in the States, the election of Emmanuel Macron, we have totally transformed the landscape of the Paris Financial Centre.
Jérôme Estrella, Chairman of Paris Europe, thank you very much for speaking to us. Now, tax has been a subject of great debate in France this week as the new government begins outlining its spending plans. The Prime Minister says taxes on French workers and businesses will be cut by 11 billion euros next year. The government will need to find that money somewhere else, though, and the announcements have raised questions over whether or not Paris will be able to bring its budget deficit under EU limits. Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire believes cutting taxes and public spending is the best way to promote growth and create jobs.
I think that it's perfectly possible to reduce public spending quite significantly, meet our European commitments, and at the same time lower taxes for French people and French businesses.
So, what changes are on the way and are they achievable? Kate Moody's been finding out. Kate.
Well, Emmanuel Macron's plans were temporarily thrown off track by the public auditor, which revealed the French government was facing an €8 billion hole in its finances that could have forced flagship tax reforms to be delayed. But they were put back on their original timeline as the budget minister said around €4.5 billion in public spending would be cut from a number of ministries without affecting public services or taxes. Among the president's headline campaign promises was a plan to scrap a local housing tax on 80% of French households, which brings in about €10 billion a year. He wants to scale back a wealth tax so it applies to property rather than financial assets, and he's vowed to reduce the corporate tax rate from 33% to 25% during his 5-year term. The last two measures in particular have appealed to businesses, coupled with other reforms specifically designed to court financial firms. From next year, the government plans to impose a flat 30% tax on dividends and other earnings linked to investments. It's also building on François Hollande's system of tax credits for companies that hire, which will be transformed into a permanent lower rate of payroll charges. Now, overall, Prime Minister Édouard Philippe says the tax burden on businesses and individuals will be reduced by €11 billion in 2018. Taxes will be raised on items like cigarettes and diesel fuel. Combined with hefty spending cuts and deep structural reforms, the government believes it will be enough to compensate for the holes left by lower tax revenue, all while bringing down the deficit to the EU's 3% target. Stephen?
Thank you very much for that. Now, for small businesses, it's a shop window to the world. Social networks like Instagram have become a key marketing tool for companies, no matter what their size. But while the big brands might focus more on communicating directly with their customers, for small enterprises, it's the best way to show off their products to an international audience. And most importantly, it's free. Josh Vardy has more.
The new age of do-it-yourself. Free digital tools have slashed costs for small French businesses. With apps like Instagram, entrepreneurs have found there's no need to worry about a marketing budget. Chanty Berel's company makes biscuits with personalised messages on them, visual treats that feed perfectly into Instagram.
With 13,000 followers, marketing couldn't be quicker or easier.
I select a photo I've taken, which is already square, then I publish.
Thanks to social media, her profits have shot up 40% in just over a year.
It's the only advertising and promotion we do, and it's free.
Anna Bruel and her father have a similar story. A year ago, they opened an interior design company in Paris and quickly realized the value of posting their wares online.
After just 15 days on the social network, we received an order from New York for about a dozen square meters. Then a few days later, an order came in from Japan thanks to the network.
In 1 year, orders have multiplied, and it's all thanks to Instagram. The free visibility offered by social media isn't only used by small businesses. Well-known names and labels integrated these methods into their own marketing strategies years ago to talk directly to customers.
Big-name labels can create a privileged relationship with their fans and customers because it's instantaneous. Journalists and fans get the same information at the same time.
Smaller outfits can take this further by using pass sales to generate more business. When the wallpaper designs are bought, they're photographed and posted, creating better images and more followers. And what better setting for a bespoke biscuit than on the bed of a boutique bed and breakfast?
Well, that's it from us for this week. If you've spotted any good Instagram marketing, do let us know by tagging France 24 English in your posts on Instagram. Otherwise, you can get in touch with us on Facebook at France 24 Business or tweet me at NewStephen. Until next time, thanks for watching.
At this health centre in Senegal, it's the patients themselves who are restocking the shelves. A new mobile phone app called Joko Santé rewards patients who return unused medication, giving them points to purchase different drugs later on.
Before, I had lots of problems buying medication, but now it's easier for me to get them.
This pilot project was launched in 2015 by a Senegalese entrepreneur trying to fight waste in a country where many can't afford medicine. The project also guards against fake drugs.
They give us their prescription and we verify it. Is it really a prescription given out by a doctor or a nurse? And we also check the expiration date and the state of the medicine.
Over half of Senegal's population lacks health insurance, and the uninsured are more likely to be tempted by cheap counterfeit drugs. These often simply fail to work, and at worst, they can prove fatal. Across sub-Saharan Africa as a whole, 1 in 3 medicines are estimated to be fakes.
These counterfeit medicines are usually bought by those who are most vulnerable, those who don't have the money because they're sold at a lower price. Now we're enabling those people to have access to better medicines. We're certainly helping in the fight against counterfeit drugs.
For those who can't afford to buy drugs, the Joko Santé app also allows brands to sponsor drug purchases. That system is being piloted in a children's hospital near Dakar, while the government is considering the whole Joko Santé system for a national rollout.
The 51%, presented by Annette Young.
A programme about women who are reshaping our world. We meet those who seek equality, be it in the boardroom or at the village well. The 51% brings you stories from across the globe about the women who are challenging the way we think.
The 51% on France 24 and France24.com.